3 months later, your favorite substitute is back. Episode 8 of The Extra Point starts right now. All right, guys, we're back for another edition of The Extra Point. Us Clemson students, we just got back from fall break, and we have a lot to talk about, starting with some college football pick'ems. Last weekend, it was pretty interesting, but I think we have to start with the biggest matchup of the weekend, and that is Penn State going on the road to Ohio State. Head coach James Franklin, he's 1-8 versus the Buckeyes, and it's the last time they won, 2011. Who wins in this huge Big Ten East showdown? Let's start with you, Daniel.
The Ohio State University. Gotta remember the. They trademarked that. I just don't trust Penn State because they always play 3 good quarters of football against tough competition, then not show up in the fourth. So give me Ohio State.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Penn State. We are. It's going to be all up to James Franklin, right? He's definitely hearing voices in his head. He's going to be the legend killer against the big red machine that is Ohio State. He's going to have to do what he's got to do. He's got those monster running backs in the backfield. Penn State, just a tougher team. Kyle McCord, I don't think is the guy. Just a little brother at quarterback. Not really what's going to happen. Kyle McCord, not the guy. James Franklin, I think it's the year. 3-12 against top 10 teams in 2016. Not the best. But I think it's the year Penn State, tougher team, loaded talent. Drew Aller can step up and be that guy. He can be the young blood and evolution of Penn State quarterbacks.
I mean, we've got 2 6-0 teams today. Ohio State is looking for its 7th straight win against Penn State, and they have home field advantage. So I'm going to go with Ohio State.
Gotcha. Yeah, that is a big showdown going on. Can't miss it. Big noon kickoff. Make sure to get your coffee, get your breakfast, get ready for what's about to go down. Now moving on, we got Tennessee versus Alabama, and we cannot forget last year's classic. The one thing though, I don't think these offenses are going to be as high-powered as they were last week. You have Joe Milton and co. coming in the Bryant-Denny Stadium. Very hostile environment. Will the Vols pull it off? David, what you got?
Man, I'm going Alabama. All the way I'm going Alabama. Tennessee, just, that young blood. And the SEC really has just been like the absolute nation of domination in entirety of college football. And just an absolute, barn burner. But the young blood, I mean, you got to smell what's cooking down there in Tuscaloosa. It's definitely going to be electrifying. Jalen Milroe, he's definitely showstopper. He can do what he's got to do. Tennessee, Joe Milton's not that guy. As much as everybody thought he was going to be that guy coming into the season, he's not that guy. And I'm going to go Jalen Milroe. I'm going to go the Crimson Tide defense, Tide rolling over against Tennessee. And I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to say that to my good friend Ashlyn, who I know is a Volunteers fan.
Yes, I can't go against my team. While playing against the Crimson Tide in Tuscaloosa is one of the hardest atmospheres in college football to play at. I believe in the Vols. They're going to pull through, and next week we're going to sit here and have that conversation.
I'm going to go with you and say the Volunteers because Alabama's been flirting with disaster all season, nearly losing to USF, nearly lost to Arkansas last week, struggled against A&M and Ole Miss, and disaster's going to strike this weekend. Joe Milton's going to show us why we thought he was good.
I mean, but if Alabama's flirting with disaster, then Tennessee's been marrying disaster with what's going on up through the season so far.
They've been scoring points.
They've been scoring points, but they're losing to Florida. They're getting, Joe Milton's trying to fight a
Florida
defensive
was week
lineman.
one. Florida was week one.
All this going up, and Tennessee was supposed to have this massive year. Joe Milton, the Heisman candidate, and he hasn't been anything. He's got a rocket arm, but I don't know. Can he read a defense? I grew up a Michigan Wolverine fan, and I watched him during the COVID season. He had all this hype, Milton tough, everything going forward, but he's got the talent. I just don't think he's got what it takes to be a big level quarterback.
I think that he is that guy.
You think that he is him?
He is him.
Okay.
This week,
I think
he's going to show it.
the Florida game was week 1.
Okay.
And a rivalry.
He can prove him.
True, but when was the last time Tennessee beat Alabama twice in a row? Was it 06, 07? I mean, it's been a real long time since, Rocky Top's been rolling in Bryant Denny two times years in a row.
Bama was still in it last year was really Bryce Young.
Sure.
And this year, I'd say they'd regressed since last year.
I would also say Tennessee's defense is even worse than they were last year.
Yeah, true that.
Fair enough. We'll see. I'm so excited.
Well, we will see if Joe Milton is him, in fact. Moving on to some Pac-12 action, we have the Utah Utes without Cameron Rising going on to take on the USC Trojans, who they lost pretty bad to Notre Dame. Let's just say that. It was not the best outing for Caleb Williams and co. The Irish shut them down. It's really key to know. Lincoln Riley is also 2-4 versus ranked teams as a coach of USC. So will USC fall flat like they did against Irish, or will they bounce back? What do you guys think? Ashlyn?
I think they're going to fall flat. Give me the Utes. I think the defending Pac-12 champions are going to pull through, and they're going to win.
Yeah, I'm going to go Utah as well. I mean, I think Kyle Whittingham and company have definitely been the code breaker for Caleb Williams. Absolute stud quarterback. First overall pick, you see all these hypothetical trade options, but, Cam Rising in Utah really has Caleb Williams and USC in the walls of Jericho. They can't really break it. It's really going to be tough for, Caleb Williams to break the walls down. And he's super talented, but that defense is absolutely terrible. You saw them just get dominated by a more physical team in Notre Dame last week. Utah almost, if not just as physical as Notre Dame, and, they're going to keep the train running. Give me the Utes.
Yeah, Utah's defense, they've only let up 21 points once, and every other game's been under 14. So I'm going to actually go with Utah.
Nice.
I was going to say USC in a bounce-back game with Caleb Williams, but the first time Williams played a good defense, they lost to Patrick Driscoll's Notre Dame.
I mean, that's the first time they've ever played a really good defense, besides Utah. And, Utah's defense is even better than it's been in the past couple of years. There was a shootout last year, and then Utah kind of dominated in the championship game last year. But, hey, three amigos, we're all in on Utah. Let's go.
Let's go indeed. Keep in mind, the Utes have won three straight against the Trojans. Let's see if they can make that 4. Now we're moving on to the ACC. This is a very intriguing matchup. We got the battle of the Mikes. We got Mike Elko versus Mike Norvell, quarterback. What's his name? Oh, man. Riley Leonard. His status is in the air right now, dealing with an ankle injury. Florida State's had a great year. The transfer portal's killing it. But will the Duke Blue Devils prevail and get a huge road win against the Seminoles? Daniel, what you think?
I'm going to go with the Noles and Mike Norvell. If Riley Leonard plays, I would think he'd try his very best to get out on that field, being that it's top 5 team in the nation. But I'll take Florida State. Both Duke's coming in hungry, and Florida State's coming in confident from blowing out Syracuse and Virginia Tech. And they've been able to play in these big, tight games before. I think it'll be close, especially if Riley Leonard plays. But give me Florida State.
Oh, man, I'm going to have to go Florida State. I mean, we saw how tough Clemson played them in Death Valley. But, down in Tallahassee, Mike Norvell's just continued to be, the total tribal chief of whatever's going down there. He's the head of the table in the ACC. And, Jordan Travis has really proven himself to be the big dog. Florida State's really got that defense going, shielding the offense with whatever they need to do. That defense is great. Jared Verse, an absolute stud. Riley Leonard, up in the air, a banged-up Riley Leonard. I mean, it's going to be all on the Duke run game, which is good. But Florida State's run defense, we saw, it can definitely hang up with good running backs. And I'm going to go Florida State, home field advantage like no other.
We're all going to be in agreement again this time. I think, if anything, Jordan Travis has shown us that he's a force to be reckoned with this season, and so has Florida State. they can play against the big teams, and we've seen that with Clemson when they blew out Syracuse, Virginia Tech, and so I think they're going to continue to do that.
Yeah, I mean, that dual threat option, just, Clemson Cade had success running the ball, but we didn't really design anything. We didn't do anything. Jordan Travis, he's healed up now from that ankle injury. He can move better than Cade can. And I think that, without Riley Leonard, the leadership and the emotion of Florida State is just going to completely take over Duke, especially with how great of a home field advantage they have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so let's keep talking Clemson football. So their last win is against Wake Forest. It didn't look too pretty, but now the Tigers will be taking their talents down to South Beach. Head coach Dabo Swinney looks to become the all-time winningest head coach in Clemson history with this one. Who comes out on top? Daniel?
Clemson by double digits, because that's what they did last year, 40-10. They'll bounce back from Wake Forest, and they had a week off. Hopefully they learn to protect the football and not fumble it. Amongst some other things that we're dealing with. So, yeah, give me Clemson and bounce back. I don't trust the coaching at all from Miami, especially from what we've seen the past two games.
Yeah, even though the game's not in Death Valley, I'm going to say Miami's going to rest in peace on this one. It is definitely going to be all Clemson. Miami has absolutely lost it. They're definitely on the dark side. They don't really know what's going on. Dabo's got his ministry going over here with whatever's happening, whatever's all the troubles. It's all through Dabo. He's righting the ship. Transfer portal, no transfer portal. Clemson's got it rolling. Cade's looked better and better with each week. Tyler Van Dyke, great quarterback, but I don't trust the coordinators over there in Miami. I think, that Clemson's just going to keep rolling.
So we're looking at two teams that are trying not to fall farther down into the bottom half of the ACC here. And based on their history, we watched Clemson play Miami last year, and it was a bloodbath. So I expect that to continue, especially with Miami's history. They've never really been that good, and Clemson has.
It's been a while.
I mean, Miami has been just as good as Clemson has. But if you're talking about in recent years, totally agree with you. I mean, they had the Manny Diaz team. They had, they had the Mike Rozier team. They had Derek King, and that failed. I mean, Miami hasn't really been a big player since 2004. Clemson's won 2 national titles in the past years. They got a programs going completely 2 different directions. One team has a man at the helm who just has been killing it and has established a winning culture. The other man, isn't kneeling on third down. So it's 2 different directions. Although I think Miami has a lot of potential. I think if he stays this season, it could go really well. But give me Clemson. I trust what I know, not what I don't.
Yeah, definitely. Clemson will be coming in with some extra juice. I know Dabo Swinney getting that record would just be huge for the program in general. But yeah, it's going to be another great week of college football, and I'm really excited to see what will be going down. Excuse me. Now, let's move on to the write-in option. This is one of the things I really like to see in the show. And first of all, let's talk some NFL. So traditionally in the past, we see MVP awards being handed out to quarterbacks. But I want to ask all 3 of you guys, barring the MVP usually being handed out to quarterbacks, who is the most valuable player in the NFL right now, offense or defense?
I mean, this is super tough. I'm excluding quarterbacks. I mean, you could say Tyreek Hill, but that offense is so loaded that it's not just anchored on one guy. I'm going to go Jason Kelce. I mean, I think that the Eagles are just such a well-oiled machine. He leads that offense without a doubt. He knows the game. He is a cerebral assassin on that offensive line. He's leading. All the factions. In the tight end group. Wide receivers, running backs, quarterbacks. Everything has to run through Jason Kelce.
Wow.
He's really fighting with that red zone offense, and he really expects greatness, even though when they're not going. And he is the best center in the NFL, bar none. He is the game. He's just absolutely stud. He balances thing really well, and he keeps the Eagles going. The Eagles go as Jason Kelce goes. So I'm gonna go Jason Kelce.
I'd love to see that. You don't.
I mean,
okay, I was not expecting that. That was wow.
Yeah,
I like it though. Great answer.
I mean, I think it has a lot of merit to like the root of the definition of most valuable player. You know, that team ticks as he ticks. You know, we've never seen a center at his age be as capable and as, you know, really talented as he still is, you know, in the run game and the pass game, not to mention the leadership that he has on that entire team.
Yeah. I'm going to take it back to the first episode of the year when Brian said Bijan Robinson was his sleeper pick for #1 overall draft in the fantasy, and we all hated on him. And I'm eating my words, and I'm saying Bijan because he's just taken the NFL by storm. Like, I don't know. Some people like Brian were expecting him to be good. I was not, and I'm taking it back. So.
Yeah.
I mean, Bijan's probably the most valuable player on the Falcons, but in the NFL, I gotta go with Tyreek Hill.
Fair.
Go
Dude,
Dolphins.
the dude is on pace for 2,300 reception yards. And you look at, like, even when he's not catching passes, he's affecting the defense. They're all so paying so much attention to him and sometimes Waddle that everybody else can eat up yards. And if Hill's not on the field, it's not as functional as without them. Now, it's still a really good offense.
Definitely true.
Yeah,
I mean, everything, like all the coverages, what the first thing they're going to do is, okay, where's Tyreek Hill?
Yeah.
Like, let's make the coverage around Tyreek Hill, and then the Dolphins are just so loaded that they're going to beat you with the other guys. Like, Devon Achane averages, like, 8 yards a carry as, like, a rookie at Texas A&M. He's fast. Raheem Mostert, absolute stud. And then on the other side, you got to worry about Jalen Waddle, and then in the slot, Braxton Berrios. Like, wow.
But all those guys eat up.
All those guys eat off
because
Tyreek
Tyreek Hill's playing so well on a next level.
No doubt.
Give me Hill.
Yeah, all great answers from everyone. That was really cool to hear about. But for me, I think it's Tyreek Hill's league, and we're just living in it. I mean, you see this guy scoring touchdowns, doing backflips, pulling out phones. I mean, the guy is just so funny, and he is just a freak of nature for sure. But enough with football. We're going to talk some basketball now. And a couple weeks ago, a huge decision. Joel Embiid, he decides to represent Team USA over Cameroon, which he was born. And then he also has dual citizenship in France. But he decided to pick Team USA, and the main reason he said was that Team USA, they did not medal in the FIBA World Cup, and that's what it came down to. He wants to see, you know, the success like Team USA's always had. So fill this one in. Joel Embiid declaring to represent America at Paris 2024 does blank for USA basketball. Daniel?
I'm not like overly knowledgeable in NBA, but I'm going to say add experience and skill. And since he's picking over his home country, patriotism for America. So the only thing I really know about him is he's had trouble with his injuries in the past. So as long as he can keep that in check, he's got the experience to help this team out.
I would say it does wonders. You know, I think that what the USA needed was a big man. And, you know, otherwise it would have been an absolute wreck. You know, what are you going to do starting AD at the 5 all the time when you know he doesn't even like to play the 5 and that's your only big on the roster? I mean, you know, this really just allows Joel Embiid to just come in there and, you know, just really help out. Because, you know, who else would we ever play? Would we have, you know, Joe Schmo, like from, like, you know, Hawks or something like that? Mr. Sacco, could be anybody, you know. But, like, you know, Joel Embiid, you know, really, like, bang, bang, right on the table. USA is going to have a nice day. And just continue, keep it going. I love it for the USA. They need a big man.
I totally agree. I said it's going to do Dreams.
Okay.
Yeah, we're, like, on the same page.
Dreams. Gonna do Dreams. That's my new bio.
Dreams.
On Instagram.
Because I just think, like, we needed someone to, like, rally behind, and also that brings a lot more attention to it, because I hadn't really heard that much about it, because I'm not really, like, that into the NBA. And it's kind of like the Taylor Swift thing. Like, it's going to bring a lot more of a target audience into it, which is going to be good for basketball and for the industry.
So as a quick rundown, like, we were playing, like, a lot of our young guys in, like, the FIBA, like, Cup. We lost. So now, like, LeBron and all, like, the older legends and, like, the big stars, they're like, okay, we're going to play. We're coming in. Joel Embiid deciding to play with USA is, like, you know, kind of like Rodman joining the Bulls in the late 90s or something like that. It's like the final piece to a championship team of veterans just getting it going.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see, like, who follows who. I know Team USA hasn't seen the same success, but it'd be really cool to see them get that whole dream team mentality once again, and Embiid could start that. So now we talked football, we talked a little bit of basketball. Let's talk baseball now. We got the ALCS going on, and we have the Rangers versus the Astros, a battle for the Lone Star State. It's 2-0 Rangers. And then the other series, we have the Diamondbacks. Who would have thought the Diamondbacks are down 0-2 against the high-powered Phillies offense? The 2023 MLB World Series will include blank and blank. David, what you got?
Phillies and Rangers. I mean, I've said it from the beginning. You know, you can check my MLB bracket that I made before the playoffs. I'm not a fraud. Promise you that. I think that the Rangers and the Phillies are destined to meet, you know, just what does the postseason come down to? It comes to momentum and it comes to pitching, right? I think both teams have the pitching to win a World Series, definitely at the caliber. I mean, you look at the Phillies, Nola, Wheeler, and then behind you got Lorenzen, great pickup at the trade deadline. You know, the Rangers, Gumby, Jordan Montgomery's just been an absolute monster in the postseason, which hurts me as a Yankees fan. I don't know why we gave him up. That's a whole different episode, right? Max Scherzer coming back for the CS. He is an absolute gamer. World Series champion, we know that. Absolute stud, crazy guy in the locker room, unhinged. He's going to keep it going, and I think both teams just really rolling. Both teams up 2-0 right now against teams that we thought that would give them more of the fit. You know, the Astros have been there, and the Snakes, you know, just really been going. But the Snakes don't have the pitching, and I don't think the Astros do either. So give me the Phillies over the Rangers as my final World Series prediction.
If I was being serious, I would say the Phillies. But, you know, to tie back into last time I was on, not the Mets. I learned my lesson. Griffin's not here, but they will not be attending if anyone was wondering.
Ever.
Just
Ever.
Phillies dubs. You know, they're going to win it. They're going to win it.
Phil Dubs.
They'll beat the Rangers because I can't stand the Astros from last season.
Fair enough.
So there you go.
Yeah, we love some October baseball, so it'll be really interesting to see who comes out on top. Now, we got the fill in the blank. Now, let's move on to the hashtag game. And I was really excited to talk about this. So there was an exhibition game between Iowa and DePaul at Iowa's football stadium. 55,000 fans showed up, donated over 100,000 in funds for charity, and it was just a great event overall. So what do you guys have for this hashtag? Just what does it mean for the game?
Hashtag outdoor hoops. You know, maybe this is going to become a new thing. Maybe as women's basketball becomes more popular, we're going to have to start moving outside.
I'm going to go hashtag ride the wave. You know, love the Kinnick wave. One of the best things in all of college football. You know, waving to the Children's Hospital, super, super cool. And also ride the wave of Caitlin Clark. Ride the wave of women's college basketball, you know, just being more prevalent than it really ever has been since, you know, the peak days of UConn, even before Pat Summitt at Tennessee. You know, Caitlin Clark just absolutely making waves. She is unreal. Like regardless of whatever you think about women's basketball, like she would give buckets to like pretty much anybody. And she had, I believe, close to or a triple-double, a 30-point game, almost a triple-double in this outdoor hoops game. Just absolutely awesome. Love what I was doing. You know, just definitely showing out for women's sports and a huge event. A lot of people packed out. Ride the wave.
Ride the wave and hashtag growth. It's got to keep growing the sport.
That too.
Going unorthodox, doing new ideas like outdoor events, that's a good idea.
When you got a star in a sport, it's great when you can rally behind them and just use it as a totally new mechanism to get people to grow the game.
Yeah, definitely. And something else about this too, like college women's basketball is taking off. I mean, you see all the noise with Angel Reese and LSU. We saw all the coverage back in March between that little rivalry and trash talk. And for me, I just think it's great for the game, and it's really cool to see all the success as of late. So now, we're going to talk some Olympic sports. LA 2028, we need to do Paris first, but LA 2028, they added 5 new sports. Baseball, softball, cricket, flag football, which is debuting for the first time, same with cricket, and then lacrosse and squash. What do you guys think on that?
Hashtag Brady Gronk coming out of retirement to go smack some Spaniards and Frenchies at the World Cup, or not the World Cup, the Olympics. Yeah, Gronk already said he'd come back, so. Bring Brady too.
Yeah, give me #USA. You know, this is just going to be, I don't know what squash is. I'll be completely honest with you. But the other four, I mean, it's all going to be, you know, USA, USA. I mean, Brady could probably win the gold medal, like for, you know, flag football with a broken freaking neck. You know, I mean, like an absolute, like, stud, you know. We got the right angle and, you know, just completely awesome, like to see more American sports, but like the global impact of American sports, just absolutely bringing it to the Olympics. And it's going to be a great time just to see how awesome that our team's going to be, but how really cool. And I think all the other teams are going to give us a run for our money. I think we're going to win gold, but like in flag football especially, but I think it's so cool to see how our sports have a global impact and to see how advanced and really great that other countries are going to be at like these sports and like maybe trick plays, you know. It's going to be really entertaining to watch.
#lacrosse. I could not be more excited to see a sport growing so much. I played lacrosse in high school. I almost played lacrosse in college. I love lacrosse so much. It's going to be great.
You think Paul Rabel's going to play? So Paul Rabel's an older guy. He was like the best player ever.
2028?
Yeah, 2028? Could
You know,
be.
the person I'm most excited to see, I think we're going to see Charlotte North. She is like
Okay.
the legend of women's lacrosse. She's cracked. She's so good. And I cannot wait.
Awesome.
One thing it is missing, though, is 15s rugby. Although right now the World Cup's happening and they have that weird scheduling with the Olympics being 7s. And with rugby, it takes a couple months to get the World Cup finished. So in the Olympics is only 16 days.
True.
So that's the issue.
I will say 2028 is getting a lot closer than we think, and it's going to be really cool to see how those new sports turn out. And lastly, back to football. So the Philadelphia Eagles, they're pretty banged up at wide receiver. Who do they call? 7-time Pro Bowler Julio Jones. They signed him to a 1-year deal to see what they can get out of him. What do you guys think on Julio Jones? 34 years old now, has had lots of injury problems in the past, now suiting up for Philadelphia. What do you guys think?
I went with #I guess. I mean, I don't really think it's that big of a deal. He's 34. His time has passed.
Yeah, I'm going to go #washed. I'm on the same boat that you are. I mean, he had under 300 receiving yards with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year. Couldn't buy targets. You know, granted, 2 great wide receivers on the outside in Tampa Bay, but also you got 2 great wide receivers on the outside in Philadelphia with Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown. So it's going to be really hard for him to get targets. You know, a lot of Eagles fans are saying, oh, big upgrade over Quez Watkins, who was the wide receiver 3. But I think that it really doesn't matter. The Eagles would go on with or without him. And he's not really going to be that much of an impact. Could catch a big playoff game touchdown pass, but he's not really a playoff guy. So
I just said #reunited and it feels so good because he's going back to his buddy A.J. Brown. Now, outside of that, I mean, he's rusty. He hasn't played a full season in, I'm sure,
A while.
No, it's been a while.
2-3
He was
years.
rusty last year with Brady. I don't know if he can play a full game healthy. Yeah, it's not that big of an impact.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Julio can do on a team like Philadelphia. Who knows? Maybe he's been working with a sports doctor that's got him all fixed up and maybe get a year, maybe even another year out of him. But we'll see where that goes because the Eagles, they are just a powerhouse right now. So we started with some pick'ems, and now we're going to end with some pick'ems. So we're doing NFL now. And let's start off light. Let's start off with just a little matchup. We got the Falcons at the Buccaneers. You know, you got remnants from the Super Bowl champs taking on a nice young core that includes the Atlanta Falcons, Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Desmond Riddler, all those guys. Daniel, what do you think on this game?
Just the Bucks. I do like Bijan and how Desmond Ritter's been playing a little bit better. But the Buccaneers are at home. They just got humiliated by the Lions, who are a good team. Was a quality loss, I would say. But the Bucks are definitely better all around than the Falcons.
Yeah, I'm going to go the Bucks and the Texas Rattlesnake, Baker Mayfield. You know, absolute stud. Never, you know, no quitting him at all. You know, bouncing around, just done what he has to do, and now he's in a position with a great team around him. That defense is absolutely stone cold. They got those Super Bowl pieces, and they got a good run game to go. Rashad White is that guy. So I'm going to go the Bucs, and that's the bottom line.
I'm going to agree again, go with the Bucs too. Even though the other team has Bijan, it's one man can't carry the whole team.
Desmond Ridder stinks.
Yeah.
All right, now we got an AFC West showdown. We have the Chargers versus the Chiefs. The last week wasn't the greatest for either teams, even though the Chiefs did pull out with a win. They looked kind of off at times, which is weird to say for Kansas City. But, yep, the Chargers will be traveling to Kansas City. David, who you got in this one?
I got to go the Chiefs, right? The Chargers looked bad on Monday night. Herbert looked bad on Monday night, against a good Cowboys defense. Chiefs defense also low-key really good. Everybody always thinks Chiefs offense, Chiefs offense, Chiefs offense. Chiefs defense has been real good this season. And I think that, it's all going to be, all lights are always on Patrick Mahomes, but he's the showstopper, the heartbreak kid. He's an absolute stud. Travis Kelce has been, hanging out with his new girlfriend, bringing a lot of the attractions, just a little sexy boy action, having a lot of fun. But I think that the offense is going to be way too much for Los Angeles' terrible defense to handle. And, I'm going to go with, Mr. NFL, Patrick Mahomes.
I'm going to go with the Chiefs as well. I just think there's so much behind them this year, and there's so much attention on them that how could they not win? They're just such a well-rounded team.
That's tough, though.
I don't know.
When you say, that's a lot of pressure.
There is a lot of pressure, but in the past, they've been able to handle pressure well. And I feel like that's just, I don't know.
No, I love it.
Yeah, speaking of pressure, I don't trust the Chargers in pressure. They've lost too many
Never.
close games. I haven't trusted them at all this season. The Chiefs' wide receiver core is still a major concern, but I'll take Patrick Mahomes over Herbert any day.
All right, now moving on. This is my personal favorite matchup because it's an out-of-conference matchup going on here. We have the Lions. The up-and-coming Detroit Lions are taking on Lamar Jackson and co. in Baltimore. Who will come out on top in this matchup? Because I am excited for it. Ashlyn, what you think?
I think the Lions looked pretty good last week, so I'm going to go with the Lions. I don't think the Ravens are going to be able to hold up against them.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a really good game. Two teams. The Lions, I think we thought were going to be pretty good. Ravens, I also thought we were going to be pretty good. Baltimore's a really tough place to play. And I've been going back and forth with this all morning. The Lions are rolling, but the Ravens defense, I think, is going to, give them a little stop in their tracks. They've won 5 out of 6. They're a good team. I think the Ravens' home field is going to, be pretty good. Their defense is good, but I think the Ravens' defense is better. And I think they're going to throw stuff at the Lions that they haven't seen yet. Aaron Glenn going to mix it up. Aaron Glenn, the defense coordinator of the Lions, he's going to mix it up for Lamar. Ravens defense coordinator, he's going to mix it up for Jared Goff. I'm going to go the Ravens in a close, low-scoring game.
It is going to be real close. That Ravens offense is very, very close to just being more lights out than they are capable of right now.
Yeah.
But I got to go with the Lions. It's just something about it, the way Dan Campbell's run that team. I'm picking the Lions.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's a toughie. Mm-hmm. But I think the Ravens are real good. And, with all the drops they had last week, if they're even 50% better, then the offense looks fantastic.
Now, the biggest matchup on paper, Sunday Night Football. We have the Miami Dolphins taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. This, I think, is going to be a shootout. I think it's pretty safe to say that. So, David, who you got on top for this one?
Ooh, Niners. Give me the Niners. Brock Purdy bounce back game. We got into it big time on the show last week over Brock Purdy. I'm going to ride with my guy. Everybody has bad games. Brady has bad games. Rodgers has bad games. Mahomes has bad games. And I don't think it's indicative of who Brock Purdy is. I think the Browns' defense is phenomenal. I think Jim Schwartz has Kyle Shanahan's number. And I think that I'm going to go with the 49ers.
The Dolphins versus the Eagles?
So the 49ers are not going to
That was the wrong game.
because they're not playing.
That was a good take. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Great
No,
take.
Dolphins, Eagles. Give me the Eagles and let's move on.
I was so confused. I thought I was wrong.
Yeah.
Give me the Dolphins. Their offense has just looked so good, and they just have so many good players. Like, if you focus on one, someone else is just going to sneak right behind you.
Did I say Dolphins?
You know.
You said Eagles.
Okay, good, because I mean the Eagles, yes.
Okay.
I'm frazzled right now.
I'll take the Dolphins. The Eagles needed a loss to wake themselves up. I think they'll wake themselves up in this game. But I love the Dolphins' high-flying speed offense. So I'll take the Dolphins.
Okay, lastly now, we have the 49ers. They're taking on the Vikings in Minnesota, and last week just wasn't the best for 49ers. They ended up dropping the game in Cleveland. Christian McCaffrey goes down with an injury. Brock Purdy didn't look too great. And now they're going on to Minnesota to take on a struggling Vikings team. Will the Vikings capitalize in this matchup? Daniel.
I'll take the Niners because that was the first time Purdy really had a tough end to a game, and he still handled it with grace and maturity. So give me, even without McCaffrey potentially, I'll take the Niners over the Vikings.
Yeah, give me everything I just said. Give me the Niners. Great defense. Great teams bounce back. Vikings play no defense. Kirk, great. I think he should get traded, even though he's decided he won't. But give me the Niners.
Give me the Niners too. The Vikings just, they're not all them. 49ers are. Someone's going to have to step up because CMC's out, but someone will.
Is this primetime Cousins?
Oh, I like that.
I don't.
Do you like that?
Do you like
That wraps up another week of the Extra Point. We're going to see who the next man up for the Niners is, because that'll be very interesting to see. Lots of more hot takes given. Jason Kelsey, I hope you're watching, because we do have someone who recognizes your amazing talents. Shout out David on that. But yeah, another great episode in the books, and thank you guys so much for tuning in. Have a great night.